Okay, my name's Simon Normand and I work doing maps, and for the last 20 years I've been working in Australia in a place called Nukur in southeast Arnhem Land on a place called the Roper River, and it's in the Gulf of Carpentaria. So I went there about 20 years ago and met some old ladies who 20 years ago were already old, and they had all these amazing stories. They were artists like me, and they did paintings, but they did unusual paintings of their country. And then I asked them about whose country they painted, and they said, no, we don't paint our country, we paint our mother's country. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Tell me about your paintings. And they'd say, well, we can't tell you about our paintings unless we take you there. So you've got a good car, you can take us. So I would jump in the car, and then they would take me to their country, and then we'd sit down and go fishing, and I'd catch no fish and they'd catch lots of fish, and then at the end of the day we'd cook up all the fish and they would tell me stories, dreaming stories, which are songs, songlines to explain the ancestors and how the ancestors created the land for thousands and thousands. They call it the dream time, but it's the time before people were on the earth. So this is for thousands and thousands of years. So I wanted to do a map of their country, and they said, well, that's a good idea because we're getting very old, and all the young kids, they don't want to learn about our country through stories, but they're interested when we do paintings. So if you do a map of the country, we can tell you who made the country and who travelled through the country and who belongs to which part of the country and who's responsible for the country. So I started doing this painting and painting and painting, and then I finished one map, and then they said, now that's a good start, but it's not really good map, it's only like a very basic map. So now you've got to do 4 maps of that one map. So from my first map I thought I'd finished it all in a couple of months, going back and forward. So then I did 4 maps, and that took maybe 10 years to do 4 maps. And then when I finished those 4 maps, the old ladies then said, but you've only just started, you've got to do the whole river, because the river flows into the sea and the river keeps the sea alive. So if you only do the story about the sea, you've forgotten all about the freshwater people, and that's not good for us. So we've got to do a map of all the freshwater country, and that freshwater country is called Manggarrayi country. So when I come here to Flores for the first time, I'm sitting here next to the beach in Manggarrayi country, the same name but different people. But those stories, they start from a place called Goulburn Island, and they travel across the sea from Goulburn Island to Arnhem Land and through the Stone Country and around the coast. And maybe those stories came from Indonesia to begin with, because one of the big stories is about Devil, the sorcery man, which is called Nagaran. And Nagaran is the word for devil in the Stone Country. And here in Bali, the word for Nagaran, for the dragon, is Naga, is the dragon. So maybe that Nagaran, he came from Indonesia. But Flores is very close to Arnhem Land. So maybe he came from here, and maybe Manggarai people came from here, or maybe the Aboriginal people from Arnhem Land came from Arnhem Land and came to Flores, I don't know. But it's interesting stories.